All right, welcome to Amanda TV. Today I am here with Laura Chapman. Hey, Laura.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, I am so glad that you're here. Laura and I have known each other on the internet for quite a while, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a while.
She's been around for a while if you don't already know her. I'm super excited to have this opportunity for her to share a little bit more about herself. So, Laura, why don't you tell us a little more about you and what you write?
My name is Laura Chapman. I write contemporary romance, some romantic comedies. I, by day, work at a museum, a quilt museum, actually. I'm the communications coordinator there. I live in Nebraska, have most of my life. I like crocheting and baking and traveling. And I'm one of those people who gets really obsessed about certain TV shows and books. And so the invention of streaming has been a great thing for me because I now can just get really deeply into shows. So right now I'm really into Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Americans, whereas if we would have been having this conversation a year ago, it was The Crown all day, every day. And I rewatched that 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
But so I just when I love a show, I love it hard, and then I will read every single article about it. I'll watch every interview with the the stars of the show. So when I love deep.
Wow. So you kind of have a little bit of an obsessive personality, huh?
Mm,
I like it. I do too. So
absolutely.
I'm with you 100%. That's so cool. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your mug, your adorable
Mm.
mug.
So this mug was a gift. I am part of a group. I'm a member of a reader group called the Page Nerds,
Hmm.
and every couple of months they do this exchange. They pair you up with someone, and you send each other care packages.
Hmm.
And the person I was paired up with knew I have a couple of cats, and so sent it to me. I kind of love it. I've developed a bit of a cat collection, like figurines and things, but I have bought none of it for myself. It is all just people now gifting me. So I have pillows. I have just tons of figurines. I have a couple of pictures from all over the world, things from Japan, China, um, South Carolina. Just anytime somebody goes somewhere, they're like, I found this cat thing, it's yours. But I love it. And I actually shout out to my reader group. They picked this out. I gave them a selection of 4 mugs to choose from, and they thought this would be a good one for tonight.
I love it. It is so freaking cute. I'm so glad
Yeah.
that it's going to be on the show as well. I wish it had a name. That's how cute
I
it is.
It should have a name. Maybe that'll be the next question we do
Yeah,
for my
that's a
reader
great
group.
idea. Now, what's in your mug?
Rosé all day. So that's usually my summer wine, but I have a friend staying with me, and she brought it as a gift, and it paired well with the pizza we had for dinner, and thought it would pair well with conversation too.
Absolutely. I wish I had some rosé in my mug right now. I've got this super healthy, relaxing Tulsi holy basil tea. It's awesome.
And with your
And
super awesome writer mug,
so mine says, I'm a writer. Everything you say or do may end up in my novel.
which is true.
It's so true, right? I'm constantly like I have a file on my Evernote, and if someone says something hilarious, I jot it down.
Yeah, I just put it in my notes app on
Yeah.
my phone.
So if you want to know where writers get their ideas or their snappy dialogue, it's from you.
Anyone who says they don't do that is lying. They're lying.
So okay, so I'm having tea, you're having rosé. So if you could have rosé with any three authors, who would they be and why?
Well, and you living or dead, right?
Oh yeah, living
Okay.
or dead, yes.
So this is really hard because there's so many authors who I'd want to. I'm a member of Romance Writers of America, and so because of that, I've actually been really fortunate to meet some of the people who I love that are alive now. But there are ones who I'd like to hang out with more. The people who I'm thinking about, first one has to be my girl Jane Austen. Just traveling back in time, she
Yes.
would serve like a hell of a tea.
Yeah.
She is from peak tea time. It would not disappoint. But then also, she's kind of the mother of romance, and particularly romantic comedies. And I just would love to do that. I would also put down, and I did. all kind of romance authors, I put Nora Roberts would be the second one who I would probably want to have. And that's because the very first romance I picked up when I was 12 and I didn't even know it was a romance novel, my friend said, "Hey, I just read this book. You're going to love it." And I opened it and then hit, about halfway through and they were disrobing and I didn't know what was happening and I liked it. And, and that kind of set me down. Then after that, I was like, okay, give me all of the rest of your mom's books. And we rated our mom's bookshelves and swapped them back and forth. But she's such a prolific author. She's written so many different types of subgenres within the romance genre. I think a lot of, and she's just so dedicated and good at what she does that I kind of just want to bask. I wouldn't even have to I could be at a big table where she was talking and I just was quietly sitting and drinking my wine out of a cat mug. The third one, and I thought about this, I would really love to sit down with Beverly Jenkins. She is a romance writer. I actually met her at RWA. She signed a book for me, but she's somebody who for the last couple of years I just think about a lot. She received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the first RWA conference I went to in 2017. And the speech she gave, I still get really emotional thinking about. Wow. And it was just one of the most beautiful, empowering speeches. But I had also think a lot about her. She was one of the authors interviewed in a documentary called Love Between the Covers. And her story is just wonderful, and she's so hardworking. She is so good at representation and about really telling the stories of people who maybe haven't had happily ever afters and such told about them before. And I think it's just wonderful. And I, again, she's another person who I just kind of like to bask in her presence. And it was wonderful. I worked really hard to be cool when she was signing my book, but I was kind of like, "Oh my God, I love you." And she's one of the few people who I'm usually pretty good about "Oh, it's no big deal." But I didn't with her.
I know all that stuff goes right out the window, right?
No cool.
Well, your rosé party sounds pretty fun. Can I come?
Yeah, please do.
Can I be on the list?
Yeah, here you go. Please do.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we have to talk about your writing partners.
Yes.
I'm talking about your cats.
They're so cute. So I have two cats named Jane and Bingley.
Oh my gosh, isn't that so cute?
We were actually, my sister and I adopted them together. We were living together. It was my senior year of college when we adopted them. And we were in the market for a Lizzie and a Darcy. And then we just met this little boy cat who was a little ginger tabby. And he was the most amiable little kitten we'd ever met. And so we were like, well, he's not Darcy. He's very much a Bingley. And then we picked out one of his litter mates who is the most beautiful cat you'll ever see. And since Jane was the most beautiful girl in the county, we adopted her. Now, unfortunately, she's only sweet to me. She's mean to everyone else. So she doesn't quite live up to her namesake's reputation there. But she is the most beautiful cat. And she's so sweet to me. But I was thinking about this, we've talked about this a little bit before. When I really think about all of the books I've written, published and unpublished, they're kind of the constants. I've always had them around me at some point. I've lived in 4 or 5 different places now that I think about it since I've started writing books 9 years ago. And they have been part of the experience all along the way. And I love them. And I dedicated my book Playing House to them, actually. So
I love that. I remember when you told me that, and I thought to myself, I need to do that for my dog, because I feel the same way about my dog. She's always around when I'm writing. And yeah, why don't we dedicate our books to our animals?
Sometimes they make the greatest contributions.
They really do. Just being around, I think that is so awesome. And I didn't realize their names at first. That is so cute.
Jane and Bingley. Yep.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, if you guys want to see Jane and Bingley, you have to go over to Laura's Instagram. I love your Instagram, by the way. It's one that I see a lot. Maybe that's why it always comes up on my feed, because I'm like, it always comes up.
Well, that's good.
But
you hope it does.
No, I love it. I love it. And so your cats are always on there. And then not that long ago, I saw some pictures of you in Australia.
Yes, I was so lucky. I I'm lucky that with the job I have, I get to do some traveling, but
Hmm.
in November, December, I had the opportunity with my little sister. My little sister is, we're just so lucky to be in each, like, I'm lucky to have her in my life. She's my best friend as well as my sister. And that's wonderful. But so she, for her job, was being sent to Australia. And they said, well, to say thank you, would you like to invite a guest? And she asked me. And so now I know that no matter what, my sister loves me very much because she took me to Australia.
Yes.
But it was wonderful. And it is the first time I have taken 2 weeks off of work
Wow.
and gone somewhere and just really been able to be present and be there the whole time. And it was just a wonderful experience. And yeah, just incredible.
That is
And
so
I came up with a book
awesome.
idea within 2 hours of being there too. So that was helpful as well.
Well, keep your receipts so you can write it off on your taxes.
There you go, right?
That's a little writer trick for you.
That's what it is. Because you come up with ideas everywhere and then you just keep your receipt.
That's exactly right. So while you were in Australia, one of the pictures I saw on your Instagram was you not holding a koala, but near a koala. And like, I started freaking out because holding a koala is on my bucket list. Like, I legit have a bucket list, and that's on
Mhm.
there. And so I wanted to know if you were able to hold the koala.
So unfortunately not. I did get to meet a couple of koalas and I was able to pet
Mm-hmm.
one of them. And so I was able to pet a bunch of kangaroos. And one of the kangaroos that I got up and pet, she had a little Joey in her pouch too. And so that's one of my favorite pictures is me petting the
Oh,
mama with her baby.
yeah.
Um, in Australia, their different states have different laws, and in some of the states, it is against the law to hold, or they call, when they're advertising it, it's called cuddling a koala or
Mm.
snuggling with a koala, and it's against the law there, but you're allowed to pet them in some of these reserves, just from a protection standpoint. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, when there's only one or two parts where you're able to hold them, and we spent a very brief period of time up in Queensland where you're legally able to, but we were there to do the Great Barrier Reef. And so that was an amazing experience all of itself. That's
Yeah.
probably the biggest life-changing thing I've ever
Oh,
had. But
yeah.
and I was trying to think of how it felt. Petting a koala, kind of the fur felt kind of like a matted dog. So
Hmm.
soft, but not super soft, kind of squishy
Yeah.
fur.
Oh my
So
gosh.
kind of like one of those dogs that has kind of curly hair, but it's not super soft.
I
But it's
see.
squishy,
Oh my
squishy.
gosh. Oh, it's
Cute as
so
can be.
cool.
And they make
So
such good
cute.
eye contact.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
what it was. The
right.
eye contact was where I was like, oh my God, I love you.
You and I have to go back to Australia and hold some koalas
Abs-
in the right state.
Absolutely. In the right state. Yeah, we'll get up to Queensland.
We got to get there before they outlaw it everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I have another question for you. So I'm just curious because you love television, right? I love television. So I'm sure you've dreamed about one of your books being picked up for TV or film. So if anyone were going to be picked up, which one would you want it to be, and who would you cast as the lead? Or
For
leads if it's, a romance.
right, right. Well, so I would I've had a lot of people say that they would like to see The Marrying Type as a Hallmark movie, but I actually think my Queen of the League series, and my dad is the one who says, "Oh, I think Hallmark should pick that up," but there's maybe a little too much swearing and fun times in
Yeah.
it for for Hallmark, maybe Freeform. But I think that would lend itself really well to a TV series, just because it's each book. The chapters are kind of episodic because it takes place during a year of football, and
Mm.
so you can really see how each week
Yeah.
episode.
Yes.
But I've also I've thought about it enough that there are two. It's told from the perspective of the heroine Harper, which is the name of the winter storm that is currently sweeping
Mm.
parts of our country.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that I know how to pronounce her name, but I found her on IMDb when I was writing the book, and I
Yeah.
just think she's the part. Her name is Lindsay Forrest. I can't even read my handwriting. No, she was an Agent Carter. She's beautiful, but
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of has the sweet personality and a little bit of sassiness to her as well too that I think would be really good. And I'm an awful person in the fact that I've spent way more time thinking about the hero of my book and who would
I
play
don't
him.
think that's awful at all.
I know. I'm like, um, his name is Brooke. He's a football coach, and I love him so much. And I imagine him being played by Garrett Hedlund, who
Mm-hmm.
was on Friday Night Lights and that kind of the movie, not
Yeah.
the TV show. And I think he would play Coach Brooke super well.
Ooh, well, I hope somehow that happens for you.
From your lips to their ears.
And I got to look those actors up because I haven't heard about them yet. I haven't seen them. So when I read Queen of the League, I will imagine those two. All right. So speaking of your characters, of all your characters, who is your favorite?
It's Coach Brooke. I was just talking to a reader about this, and I'm like, you know, like I broke the mold with that one. He is I mean, I really did. When I wrote that character, he has just enough flaws to be not completely perfect, but he's about as perfect as they get. And he is just a good guy who kind of knows who he is and is comfortable in that, but then he also, by being around this heroine, kind of comes to reevaluate a lot about himself and what he wants. And he's just a good guy. Um, he's the kind of person who you would wish for your best friend. And but again, he's just there's just enough of a little wildness in him to be fun and interesting. But at his heart, he's just a really genuine good guy. Yeah, so I like him too.
There you go. If you want a genuine good guy,
So.
yeah, pick up Queen of the League, right?
It's the trilogy. Yeah.
And we will be linking that below, everyone, so you can go check out Brooke and all his amazingness.
Thank you.
So what are you working on now?
I have a new series out called the Amarillo Sour series.
Mm-hmm.
Amarillo Sour is the name of a bar, and the series kind of operates like it's a small town where all of the regulars are mixed up in each other's business. But I'm writing the second book in the series. It's called Let It Be Me, due out likely end of March. And so as the second book, this is the second regular that we're going to visit. He is a British professor of history who is under contract here in the US, and he followed a girl here, but the girl he followed is no longer in the picture, and he's trying to find an exit plan. And he is set up with someone whose sole purpose is to keep him firmly in place and on task. And so they're going to butt heads quite a bit because each of them, she's wanting to keep him in place, and he's trying so hard to get back home.
Wow. I wonder what's going to happen.
We'll find out.
End of March, right?
Yeah, end of March.
Perfect. Yeah, it was funny because I remember you had texted something about that, and my parents live in a city called Amarillo, so I was like, oh, that's so weird, you know?
Well, so it is named for it's a Texas themed bar.
Yeah, so it is named for Amarillo, Texas.
In college, my favorite drink was an amaretto sour, and my first business trip I took in college was to Amarillo, and I kind of always held on to that. Like if I ever had a bar, I would name it Amarillo Sour, and then years later wrote this series, and so I knew the bar right away.
It is a really cool name, and the town, I don't know, it smells a lot like cow poop.
That's West Texas.
It is very West Texas.
West Texas.
But I enjoy myself when I go. But I'm happy to come home.
I have been all over that state, so I enjoyed my time in Amarillo too.
Yes. Texas is a great state. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. It's like California.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So who are your books perfect for? And if someone wants to pick up a Laura Chapman book, where do you think they should start?
Well, I would say I think my books are for people who are looking, you want a happily ever after, but you're wanting it for very real characters, people who remind you of your best friend or of somebody who you went to high school with. And if you're maybe looking for a few laughs along the way as well, too, especially if you're into dry humor. And if you're going to start, it kind of depends. So if you're looking for something a little sexier, I would say Playing House is a good place to start. If you're looking for something a little tamer, The Marrying Type, which is about a wedding planner in Charleston, South Carolina, is a good place. And it's actually kind of a modern reimagining of Jane Austen's Persuasion. So if you're interested in that route as well, too. But then, of course, too, if you're somebody who loves sports romance, you've got the Queen of the League. And then if you're just looking, what I'm enjoying about this Amarillo Sour series is these books are being written as ones that you could read in an afternoon. So get in and out a little faster, too. So
I love that.
Different entry points.
Yes. So basically, you have everything.
Working on it.
You are working on it. You're working on it. And let me tell you guys, she's very organized when it comes to plotting these books. We had a whole conversation about it, didn't we?
I try to be. I don't feel organized now. I'm actually, so where I'm sitting in my office, I'm looking at, right now I can see my list of tasks that I am trying to accomplish this month. I have my Kanban board that has my quarterly goals on it and different points. And then I can also see my trifold board with the book I'm working on now.
See?
And then also off to the corner, I have a book I just started plotting. I have Post-it notes hanging up on a wall. So the next book I'm going to work on, which is going to be a bit of a departure. I'm looking at maybe doing a romantic suspense next. But
ooh, so you're like beautiful minding it with all your Post-its and everything.
It is just organized enough that I think I will not be a suspect in a murder trial anytime soon. But it's awfully close sometimes when I'm deep into a project that it might look like a serial killer's lair, but it's just an author's office.
Well, maybe don't write murder mysteries,
romantic suspense,
horror or anything. You know?
Yeah. My Google search is going to get really interesting here shortly.
I know, right? I know, that's so true. I never think about that. Sometimes when I have to Google things, I think my husband would think it was so weird if he like looked at my history for any reason.
I just think of the trial that I'm inevitably going to be involved in someday, or someday when I'm being investigated by the federal government for something. They're just going to be like, now, why did you Google this on this date? I'll go, what book was I writing at the time? Okay, there's a very logical explanation for why I wanted to know how many kilograms of, vodka was in this drink. There's a reason.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, you just cracked me up. It's the tea and the rosé.
It's all the tea. It's all the tea. It's so hard.
It's the hard tea. All right. So, where can readers find you?
Everywhere. So if you're on Facebook, I have a Facebook page. It's at Laura Chapman Books. I'm also, I have a reader group. So if you're looking to, in there, we usually just have some really deep, meaningful conversations, like about what our favorite topping of pizza is, and things like that. But we're also coming up in February, we're going to be doing a read along of Counting on You. So that's kind of going to be fun too. But we just kind of, we talk books, but we also just talk life. I am on Twitter at L Chapman Books. I am on Instagram, Laura Chapman Books, and I try to keep that updated regularly. And I'm having a lot of fun with the stories function. And I think I mentioned Twitter. Twitter, if you're looking for hard news, is probably not going to be where you find me. If you're looking to read my random conversations that I have with my coworkers or random thoughts that pop into my head, that is your place. For that, I kind of treat Twitter like it's a journal that nobody else reads. So I just put the most
interesting to me.
Yeah. And then LauraChapmanBooks.com is my website.
Awesome. And then where can we find your books?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, iBook, Google Play, and libraries.
Awesome. So pretty much everywhere.
Everywhere you want to be.
There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. And this is my little teeny tiny soapbox I'm going to step on. Readers, if there is a book that you want to read and you can't find it at your library, ask them to get it. And they will do that for you. That's something I've worked really closely with our libraries here in Lincoln. And that's one of the things they tell me is, there's so many great books out there, but their staffs only have so many people and they don't necessarily know about other authors. So never be shy of saying, hey, why don't you order the latest book by so-and-so? Because they're looking for recommendations too, just like you and me.
Wow. Well, that is a great tip. So everybody call your local library and request Laura Chapman Books if they're not already in there. And Amanda Aksel Books if you want.
A lot of them even have it on websites. If you're too scared to call, they just have an option. Request a book.
There you go.
Right.
See? No excuse. Oh.
No excuse.
Laura makes everything very easy, okay? All right. Well, Laura, thank you so much for being on Amanda TV today. I've had so much fun. Got a good laugh at the end.
That cardio and that strength training in your core.
Yeah. Feeling it. All right, Laura. Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Amanda TV. Bye.